here, and then we can get going.
Thank you.
Great. So as Dominica said, I'm Frankie with Alaska529. I'm going to speak for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to pass the torch over to Catherine, and she'll probably speak for about 10 minutes. And then we'll try to leave about 10 minutes left for any questions for either of our programs. My normal introduction slide, although Dominica has already introduced me. I do have Pilot the Stellar Sea Lion from the Sea Life Center photobombing me there. So I'm going to start a little broader, just talking about education costs over time before I get into 529s in general. So as we can see, for the last 20 years, there we go, the average cost of tuition and fees at four-year public institutions has increased more than 225%, 30 years, excuse me. So costs are getting higher. They've certainly gone up since the time that I've been at the university. So that's just kind of the way things go there. So we have 529s to help with stem that. So let's talk a little bit about what a 529 is, for those who don't know. It's a tax advantage way to save for future education expenses. So when you make a contribution to a 529 account, it is an after-tax contribution, and then the investment grows tax deferred. And then as long as you use the funds for the qualified education expense, then you don't pay taxes on that growth. So great investment tool for 529s and saving for education. Continuing on here a little bit. How to open up an account. Anyone can open an account. An account is considered to have one account holder and one beneficiary. So if you have two children, you have two accounts if you open one up for each of them. And then anyone can contribute to one. You don't need to be a family member. You can open one up for yourself. You can open one up for your neighbor. There's no state residency, income, or age requirements for anything. My grandparent could open one up for themselves if they wanted to go back to take some classes or something. So there's certainly some great options there for how to use it. In addition, the account holder controls the account, meaning that they're the ones that make the determination on how the funds are used. And then there is a maximum that you can contribute per beneficiary in 529s and across the nation. That can vary. For Alaska 529, that's up to 550,000. And then you can change the beneficiary at any time. Say one child decides not to go to higher education, you can, they go to the military, they go a different route. You can change the beneficiary to a sibling or a first cousin without any penalty. So there's some great flexibility to the plan there. What can a 529 be used for? Lots of different things. It can be K-12 tuition, vocational technical school, registered apprenticeship, college, graduate school, loan repayment, continuing ed. You don't have to be degree seeking to use it. You can use them in Alaska or outside. Basically, if the institution takes the FAFSA, federal aid, then it's a qualified institution. I want to dig a little bit deeper into qualified expenses. As you can see, this chart kind of goes over it a little bit more. So K-12 is just tuition. Registered apprenticeship is books, fees, supplies, equipment. Vocational and technical school, it includes housing, meal plans. Basically, for any of these, any required costs for all students is going to basically be a qualified expense. You could do student loan repayment if you have some left over that you could give to a sibling or something. And then what's new starting in 2024 is you can actually convert any leftover funds into a Roth IRA. The account has to be open for at least 15 years. And all these things have, of course, more information to them. This is a very broad overview of 529, but this kind of gives you an idea of what they can do. So a lot of times we talk about opening an account. but I also want to take a second to talk about distribution. This is what you need when you want to use the funds for education. So this is the process for doing that. The account holder requests the distribution. As I said earlier, the account holder is in control of the account. So even if the beneficiary is 18 or older, they really don't have any say over those funds. The account holder is the one that has to do it. So the account holder has to request the distribution. You can do that a couple different ways. You can do it over the phone. A lot of 529 plans have online access, like Alaska529 does, or you can fill out a form and you can snail mail it if you want to go that route as well. The information that you need to request the distribution, obviously students, they already have the beneficiary's name, but you need the student ID number. That's just to help make sure that when they send it to the institution, it goes to the correct person. We need the institution's business office address or bursar's office or whatever that institution is calling it. And then, of course, the amount requested. So how much is the bill? And this is the most popular way to request a distribution. Say the parent pays for a semester themselves. You can also request the funds to be sent to yourself as a reimbursement. And then we always recommend giving about 10 business days to make sure that everything is taken care of in time. So you don't want to be calling 3 days before the payment deadline to request these, because that might be tight. And so we always recommend 10 days. And then I always say in here to be careful of the tax year. And the reason, and it's easy in the fall to do it, but the funds have to be used, the distribution has to be used in the same tax year as the semester, basically. So if we have a parent or someone who's Johnny on the spot, their beneficiary is registered for classes in January, it's December, don't request a distribution in December. You want to request it in January. Otherwise, of course, that's 2 tax years, and so definitely not something we want to look at there. And then for Alaska529 in particular, we have some extra benefits. I don't have a slide up for that, but if, like I said, there's no state residency requirements. So like I opened one up for my niece and nephew who live in North Carolina. What's cool there is that once the account is open and funded, meaning has money in it for at least 2 years, they would qualify for in-state tuition at the University of Alaska. So that's kind of a neat benefit that we offer in addition. And so, yeah, I actually went a little fast, so Catherine can go over, but I put the question slide up here because that's a good way to end it, but really we'll push the questions until after Catherine is done speaking about the UA Scholars. Feel free to type any questions in, though. I can answer those while Catherine is speaking, but otherwise, Catherine, I'm a little early, so if you're ready to take over, you certainly can.
Thank you, Frankie. Let me get and share my slides here. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Frankie, also for informing us about the Alaska529. My name is Catherine Pasqua. I am the UA Scholars Program Manager with the University of Alaska System. I'm based here in Anchorage, working alongside Frankie and the Education Trust of Alaska, with, of course, focus on the UA Scholars Award. Our UA Scholars office, I should say, has 2 offices, one here in Anchorage, which is the primary one where Frankie and I are located, and then we also have one in Fairbanks. So a big overview of the UA Scholars Award. It is a $12,000 scholarship that is offered to Alaska high school students in the top 10% of their class at the end of the student's junior year. These students are designated by their high school based on academic standing, which I'll go a little bit more later on as how do schools do that on another slide. It is given in over 8 semesters. So each of those 8 semesters, it's 1,500 disbursements for the student. And it can be used towards the many different degrees, as well as certificate programs across the universities and campuses of the UA system. The little history of the UA Scholars Award. It was established in 1999. To provide an incentive and to help inspire academic achievement for Alaska students. The current cohort, which is the class of 2024, is actually the 25th class of UA Scholars Invited. So that is exciting to kick off this year. And the full, or the UA Scholars Award has been continued to be funded by the UA Land Grant Trust Fund, which is an endowment that receives revenue from property sales and resource development conducted on university lands. And the U.S. Scholars Award, as showing there on the slide, it complements other aids as well. So that includes if students have the Alaska Performance Scholarship, if they have educational grant, or the UA fund, if they're receiving scholarship from the UA foundations, or they can also use it along with their 529 education savings and other university scholarships and federal aid as well. So high school designations here. This is a screenshot from our website, which I'll post our website towards the end, or there's a link on there, or if Frankie can put it in there in the chat. That would be wonderful. And it is, so each year we have about between 200 to 300 schools participate across Alaska that designate their UA scholars. So each school, as I mentioned, establishes its eligibility criteria to determine which of their students are in the top 10% of the student's junior year. So schools have from May 1st to October 1 to submit an online designation form with their contact information and their designees. So if you are on our website, hover over the high school administrators. There's a handbook there for schools to guide them, as well as information on how to designate UA scholars for the award. So then once a school submits their designees, our office reviews the designations, and then we send an official award from UA President Pat Penny, as well as office, on the official of letting the students, congratulations, you've received the award. And then throughout that academic year, so a student's senior year, we send out communications. They also receive information from our different universities on campuses throughout that year for them to learn about the UA system. Now, in the fall of each year, we have what's called the UA Scholars Award recognition events. So these typically happen in November and early December. So this year we have some in early November, but also in we have a virtual one as well. So in person and virtual. The virtual one is in December, and we invite all students, all UA scholars, regardless of where they are located, to attend to at least one of these. We also hope that you can attend one of these and come learn about the opportunities at UA and learn about and come cheer on your students if you are working in the schools or you're working with UA scholars on your campuses. Now, how do students use the award after they received their notification? The first and the most important one, of course, is applying for free or apply for admissions. So students apply for free to any of the UA campuses. They have a admissions application fee waiver code that applies to any of the UA system. So students do have to apply by the August 15 deadline. So previously was for those of you who have worked in various areas, perhaps, as of May 1st, we have moved that to August 15th, starting with the class of 2024, which is this year. So they have until that time to apply to at least one UA school to basically accept their award and let us know that they're interested in using their scholarship. We do encourage students to apply earlier than that, as each campus has additional admissions, additional financial aid deadlines to ensure that students meet those deadlines in terms of if there's any financial aid or admissions or any other specific enrollment deadlines that they have to meet. Now, each school or each campus, university also has a contact for UA scholars. So it's on our webpage, and students can contact them and speak with an admissions counselor or admissions representative if they're looking into taking classes with that campus. And then once a student is ready to take courses, there are certain guidelines or requirements that students have to meet. So I won't go into detail this one, but this is one of them. So students have to maintain a certain GPA as well number of credits to continue receiving their award over that the time frame of their award. So here's some U.S. scholar opportunities for students. Some campuses offers a direct or acceptance to their honors program. So students will, of course, definitely check on that. But for example, UA has their honors college. If they are UA scholars, they get accepted. I believe UAF as well. Accepted to their program automatically. The study away is being able to use your scholars award in conjunction, for example, with the Alaska Performance Scholarship towards a national student exchange or going abroad or an international exchange program. So that can be used so long as the student is still, their award is still active. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can take courses online or in person, and the award applies to both as well. Once a student, all UA scholars, once they have applied to at least one UA school, they have what's called a leave of absence. That is a 2 semesters. Basically, if they are needing a break right after high school, taking a gap year, or perhaps taking a part-time status somewhere along the line, but that is a chance for students to be able to use that at their discretion. All righty. And then in closing, we just want to share that the UA Scholars and the Alaska529, as well as the Education Trust of Alaska, are truly a catalyst to help build the awareness and support for families with financial resources and literacy, and really foster that post-secondary success at various ages and grade levels that many of you are taking part of and here today to learn about our programs. So we want to thank you to each of you for coming and learn, but also for continuing to be our valued past partners across Alaska.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of questions in the chat box.
I can type, but I'll probably be able to speak a little bit faster. Nancy asked about if basically if you can get reimbursed for expenses instead of sending it to the institution. The quick answer is yes. So if a student or parent or someone pays for a semester of school or pays for, say tools or equipment like a computer, things like that, yes, the distribution can be requested to go to that person as a reimbursement.
There is a question regarding credits for, I believe that's UA Scholars. Are the credits earned milestone counting towards credits or credits that year? So each student for US Scholars, all students have to be in full-time status. So that means a student has to be taking at least 12 or more credits for it. There are years where if a student is looking at the handbook, it suggests taking 15 credits after their second year. That is it is in conjunction to finishing in 4 years. So it's a suggested amount, but every single year or every single semester that a student is paid, they have to be on a full-time status. So if a student has credits that they've earned in high school, that counts towards their cumulative number of credits. So every single year, US scholars also have to meet a cumulative number of credits in addition to that full-time status.
All right, and great questions come in, and this is great. Noel asks if the contributor passes away. I'm going to assume what you mean here is the account holder in charge of the account passes away. So you can set up a successor to take over the account if the account holder passes away. If there's no successor in place, then it's going to go to the estate to be taken care of when all of their assets are taken care of. So whoever then is the executor or whoever is in charge of that would then become the account holder. And then another question, 529 to pay for dual enrollment if you're a high school student. Yes, you do not have to be graduated from high school to be using the 529 for college credits. So that's absolutely not a problem there. And then Noel, another great question. Funds are not used. What happens to the funding? You can move it over to a different family member. You can change the beneficiary out to a first cousin if you know that there's someone else that can use those funds. You can also, like I said, after an account's been open for 15 years, starting next year, you can actually roll that over to a Roth IRA, retirement investments going. And then the third option is, of course, you can always take a non-qualified distribution, which would be taking a distribution not for a qualified education expense. You would not have to worry about your contributions because those were after-tax contributions. You would pay taxes on the investment growth, and there would be a 10% penalty on the investment growth, is how that works. And then Karen, great question. Benefits to grandparents opening the 529 rather than the students themselves or the parents. I think it's great for grandparents to open the account. With what's actually great, this is a great question because with the new FAFSA requirements that are coming out, any time that a grandparent had an account open, it would actually kind of ding the student when they went to go use it the second year because the first year's contribution would be counted, a distribution, would be counted as an unearned asset. So they're changing that up so that it doesn't affect the student as much. They haven't completely released all the new FAFSA details yet, but I do know that it'll help not ding the students as it has been in the past. So looking forward to more guidance on that for sure. And then I think the question from Jacqueline is probably for Catherine.
Thanks, Frankie. And so regarding to students, let's say if they are interested in being multiple majors. So a student can complete, of course, at any time, multiple majors if they're interested in, but in terms of the US Scholars Awards, so if a student, let's say I am a middle college student and I graduated early within 2 years and I have money remaining, I have scholarship remaining left, the student can then use it for another degree after that, or it can go under another certificate or an undergraduate degree, or if so long as or a graduate program, so long as the student and their scholarship has not expired yet.
All right, back to me, I think, with Nancy's question about retroactive expenses being reimbursed. The expense and the reimbursement or the distribution has to take place in the same tax year. So no, you cannot retroactive a year or two prior. You're welcome. These are great questions, everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat again, just as you come up with more questions. Feel free to shoot them over to me, just because I know we're coming up on a break here. I'm just gonna put my quick email address. I'll let Catherine put in hers, just she can type it faster than I can.
Right, I added mine there too. So yeah, I'm trying to see here if there's any additional questions.
Actually, I don't see yours, Catherine, so I don't know if you did it as a private.
Oh, let me try it again. I sent it directly to Dominica. So, apologize.
These were great questions from everyone. I've done this presentation quite a bit, and sometimes you don't get any. And so it was lovely knowing that there's people out there in the world listening and having absolutely great questions for us. So we really appreciate all of you. Oh, one more for Catherine.
Oh, I see one. If a UA scholar did not apply for admissions in August due to plans changing, correct, the scholarship does expire. So if we need at least, the scholar needs at least one admissions application in the UA system by the August 15 deadline. And if there are certain situations that a student is something's happening in students' lives, please have the student contact us directly, and we'll work with them one-on-one on some next steps or guidance, or guide them throughout what their next steps are in terms of the award, or when they're returning back to or planning to return back to and taking classes. Dominica, that's all I see. So thank you, Nancy, for the last question.
Yes, I'm just giving individuals some time to write the questions because we still have 2 minutes. But I want to say I appreciate your time joining us today. Both UA Scholars Program and Alaska 529 Plan. Those are 2 new sessions. Well, combined in 1 session, but you did great within the time frame. So thank you for that. I appreciate as well the questions that were asked by our attendees. And if we have no other questions, again, Catherine and Frankie, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.